Hi, my name is David Todd, and I'm a teacher here at Pelham High School. I teach math. This is my 32nd year teaching here, and I pretty much made it a career. Seems like just yesterday I was a young teacher coming into Pelham High School, and I was nervous. I never did have any teacher training courses coming in, and I really didn't know what to expect. And without hesitation, I know that I have learned a whole lot more as a teacher than I have taught math to students. Teaching has taught me a lot of things. Let me give you a little background. First of all, when I was in high school, or even before, I hated school. I hated school for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons was I just knew that the teacher was going to call on me, or I knew that my time was coming up to give that report, and I was very shy as a student. I hated getting up in front of people. I could just feel the heat come across my face whenever I had to talk to people. And fortunately, I was put in a position to where I had to get over that fear. I was put in a position that I was going to be a teacher. I didn't think that I could do it. So teaching has taught me that I could overcome some of the fears that I had growing up, and it also taught me that you don't have to be someone who is extremely brilliant to be a teacher. I know that there are a lot of smart teachers here at Pelham High School. I don't feel like I fall into that category, but I do feel like after 32 years, at least I think I've done a pretty good job at teaching. When I came into teaching, I thought I was going to change the world. I thought that these kids were going to come in, they were going to learn everything that I tried to teach them, and it didn't take long to find out that that's just not true. And a lot of times I would go home thinking that I'm failing these students because I can't teach them the quadratic formula or whatever the topic of conversation was. And a lot of times I would feel horrible about that. But as time goes on, you learn things about students, and you also learn that perhaps learning mathematics is not the most important thing in a kid's life. And I'll tell you a little bit about why I say that. Years ago, I started homebound teaching. And most of the time, and that's outside of the classroom, you go to students' homes and you try to keep them up because they can't be in school. And most of the time that's due to a student may have just had a child. And there's two instances that stick out in my mind in particular. One happened when I was a very young teacher. One of my students got shot at a parade. And I went into the home and I learned about this student, and I got to know the family. And there was another instance where a homebound taught a student who had cancer, and this was just recently. And you go through the same thing. You learn about the student, and you learn about the family and their background, and you see the human part of students. And you realize, or at least for me, I realized that maybe learning mathematics is not the most important thing in this kid's life. And I try to carry that over into the classroom, that although a lot of students do well in class, a lot of students don't do well. But I still try to be compassionate towards the kids and realize that there may be something going on in a student's life that just takes precedence over the mathematics. I do think teaching the mathematics and learning math is important, but I think that that's the biggest thing that I have learned over the course of my career. I think I have become a much more compassionate person than when I first started teaching.